Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes, and welcome back to the YoVideogames podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And once again, thank you to all our generous patrons who've kept us going for over 500 episodes.
We're at 501.
I get to say over now.
I know. It's a sexy number, though, 501. But yeah, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week is JRush13. Relatively new dude. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jay.
And for the 501st episode, I think I should begin with letting you know that I was traveling last week, and airlines suck. Air travel has reached a new low. If you have the option to do anything other than fly, you should choose that.
Yeah, it's weird. A lot of people had rough flights of like short. And like we're talking about people who are short, like people leaving Evo coming home, all were like, yeah, I had a tough time. The airport had a tough time, you know. What I had my, you know, I was all stuffed up, like I had sinus issues, like, you know, depressurizing, like everyone was having issues. Everyone, I'm not just me. A lot of people are having issues. So
yeah, on my way back, I got stuck in DFW, Dallas Fort Worth, for a couple hours, and that is as close to purgatory as I imagine any living person can get. It's just you look out the window and it's just flat and gray.
Oh man, wait till you see Oklahoma.
God's
but
country.
Yeah, like I've been saying this for years. I'm like, you know, if air travel wasn't so annoying, people would fly more planes. Every time you hear about the airlines going like, oh, we're losing money, oh, we can't do anything. I'm like, well,
have you tried to make it good?
Have you tried making getting on the plane not suck the hardest amount of ass possible?
Yeah, no, it's a little bit like blowing a muffler. You know, not that I've done that more than once, but the point is it's probably a lot like that. I imagine.
Yeah, so I feel for people who like say you want to go to Evo and you don't really have a choice. You live super far away. You got to fly. That's kind of it. It's kind of your only option. I feel for you guys. You know, same for. I mean, we got Gamescom coming up in Germany soon, and then TGS. PAX in Seattle after that, and TGS at Tokyo after that. So, anyone who's flying to any of those, I feel for you. Maybe you're one of the lucky ones. Maybe you live in Seattle and you can just drive to PAX. You know, F you.
Or maybe you got cash and you're like, well, I just get business or first class. Okay. I mean, I'm not mad at you, but when the guillotines come, I'm not sure I'm going to speak up in your defense. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I will speak up for you. I'll be like, that guy just hated flying. Was a good one. But yeah, there was a new report I don't know if it counts as a report. Matt Piscatella was saying some numbers that is interesting.
Yeah, from Wall Street Journal, actually.
Yeah, and basically the gist of it was that Gen Z's cutting back. They're not spending on video games much or as much anymore.
Well, just year over year, like this year in 2025, people between the ages of 18 and 24 are like spending way less than they were even a year ago. That's basically the gist of it. Nearly 25 less per week, 13% for the year. Just double digits. Like they're not spending money. And I think this is kind of fairly easy to understand why. I mean, Matt Piscatella he had a quote which kind of laid out more or less what it is. You know, young grads having much tougher time finding jobs. Student loan payments are restarting for millions of borrowers. Credit card delinquency rates have risen to the highest points since before the pandemic, et cetera, et cetera. It only gets worse for every generation after the greatest generation. Well, actually, after the boomers.
Yeah, the boomers,
they really did a number on this world.
And yet you can't have a real conversation with any of them about it because they'll be like, well, we lived under the threat of nuclear war.
So do we.
Yeah, same. That's still there.
The whole world has lived under the threat of it since 1945. Congrats.
What are we talking about here? We had hard times too. Okay, we're just saying that the times now are harder. You see how that
So
works?
yeah, I'm not really surprised by this. In fact, I'm almost, if anything, if I may, to be quite frank, the only thing that surprises me is that it wasn't worse.
Well, I'm surprised that it wasn't worse for millennials too. You know,
Yeah, they're only down like 5% year over year.
and granted, we're all now kind of in the thick of our careers as best you can, but like millennials sort of got screwed from the get-go, graduating into the Great Recession, then, you know, having to compete with boomers and Gen X going back to school. So all of
Yeah.
our colleges were heavily impacted. Like most millennials I know couldn't get all of their classes to be considered full-time for at least the first 3 years they were going to college.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just like,
I, and,
that
and and let's be real here. Like the other problem with the sort of the flip side of this coin of just we've hit this sort of financial wall of like games this gen, they're not looking so too much better, like, you know, graphically speaking here. PS5 is a PS4 Pro 2
right.
Pro Plus or whatever,
It look it looks good. It's just that obviously they didn't need to make the jump to
yeah,
PS5
we
when
have
over
we
half
have
the games are.
huge diminishing returns, and some of that is technology, and the other side of that is just, okay, you want a game to look like GTA 6. Do you have $1 billion, $2 billion, and 1,000 people at your disposal
In
for,
10
like, you know,
years.
and have them unlocked for like 10 years? Yeah. If the answer is no, then, which is everyone, well, congrats, you're not going to get games to look like that. Because you know, think about this: when GTA 3 came out, let's go with the way back machine. Doodly 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 doo. Someone will get that. Um, when
Yep.
GTA 3 came out, it wasn't the best looking PS2 game. Like, people couldn't make GTA clones within a year or two, about 2 years. You could make, and people did.
Yeah, Saints
There,
Row was right there.
you know, you had Saints Row True Crime, you know, Sleeping Dogs, even, but people couldn't make GTA clones. You could
Yeah.
compete with them because GTA 3, Vice City, even San Andreas, which is a lot more impressive technologically speaking, but even San Andreas, they weren't the best looking games on the market. They weren't like, it was not this impossible goal to match what they were doing.
Yeah, the biggest increase in quality from 3 to Vice City was that in Vice City the protagonist talked.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like they could have voice acting for the protagonist.
Yeah, you had Ray Liotta. There you go. So
It was
everyone
great.
still kind of looked like Lego blocks and stuff. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
jeans
and again,
jeans
like,
looked like Lego block blue
what I've
pants.
had to prove, what I've had to literally, I had to prove this to, like, to Steve and Kenny and Max. It was like Body Harvest on the N64. GTA 3 is an expanded scope version of Body Harvest. Body Harvest is the origin of this, and that's an N64 game. So, like,
Okay.
yeah, like, it wasn't
I can
until
see that.
GTA 4 where they were like pushing graphical boundaries, you know, and then GTA 4 and like Red Dead 1, then they were starting to really push graphics, like graphical boundaries. And then by the time you get to 5, okay, yeah, they're really kind of going, like, doing as much as a PS3 360 can do with GTA 5. And then Red Dead 2 is still like the best looking game on the market today, arguably.
Right, yeah.
But it wasn't until like the 360 when they had made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars with the 3, you know, blocky Robloxy looking GTA games on PS2, did they have that kind of FU money to really make a game that I'm like, all right, well, we're going to, like, not only are we going to have a big open world game, we're going to make it look better than anything our competition can do. And even then, like, Saints Row still was kind of, you know, there competing with them a little bit. It wasn't quite as good, but it wasn't like, it wasn't miles behind. Now nobody looks as good as they do. Because now with the billions that they've earned from GTA 5,
I mean,
now
if
they can just
6
make games that no one's ever going to catch up to.
yeah, and if 6 looks as good as the trailer does, it's gonna be an achievement. It's gonna be insane.
Yeah,
True next gen,
right.
5 years in.
And yeah. Anyways, like, I'm not even. I mean, the whole point of this sort of derailment here is that, like, what is the incentive, you know, for Gen Z to jump into the highest technology or whatever, to spend more on video games? Because when a millennial was spending money on video games, depending on what era of the millennial aspect you're in. Let's say, like, let's just say you're a young adult, you're a teenager or young adult. Let's say you're 18 to 24 during the GameCube, Xbox, PS2. Like, there are graphical leaps happening every other month. You know,
Right.
you're like, you went from N64 to GameCube, and it's like this huge graphical leap, PS1 to PS2, huge graphical leap, right? Tekken 3 to Tekken Tag Tournament looks like insane jump, like Soul Calibur Arcade to Soul Calibur Dreamcast, insane jump. And then like Resident Evil Remake comes out early in the GameCube's life, and
Yeah.
that was
far and away.
one console generation ahead of the PS1, and Remake still looks good to this day. Like, like, there was incentive, I feel like, to get new games, because every few months it was like someone was like blowing the doors off of what could be achieved in a video game graphically, even just graphically speaking.
Well, that and every prior generation of gaming felt like it was really pushing to the very last little bit you could get out of the system. By the end of
Yeah.
that system's life or that generation's life, like it felt like they had outgrown it, like they needed to go to another, like they needed hardware in order to
Yeah.
do anything more.
Yeah.
The PS4 to PS5 leap is probably the first generation leap, and there might be other people that feel this way about earlier ones, but it might be the first generation leap where I was like, but is the PS4 done and dead? Is
And
that
it's still
generation?
not, but like, really
Yeah,
at
it's
this
still
point,
going.
like, and when you talk about like, oh, what does the PS5 do? Well, we can get good looking games running at 60 on PS5 now. Yes, you can.
They don't
That
do it.
is critically unimportant to the vast majority of people who play video games.
Yeah, that's important, folk who
To this
don't care
day,
about
it
that.
is, you can, you can advertise the game runs at 60 frames, great, but it's like, you can't immediately like show someone with a screenshot like 60 frames.
Although
What does that mean?
this does bring up that like Nintendo still thinks the old way, because the jump from Switch 1 to Switch 2 pretty big. It's a pretty big jump. The Switch 2
Can
did
be.
feel
Here's the thing from Switch 1 to 2. It will be big. I mean, Cyberpunk 2, or Cyberpunk is almost like the greatest example of how big it can be. But I honestly feel like, because of Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong both started out as Switch 1 games.
yeah.
And they were saying like, yeah, they were running at 30 and they had a lot less detail or whatever. I'm like, so we're not actually seeing a true made from the ground up for the Switch 2 game yet. We won't see one, not even this year. It's going to be next year before we see something that was made with the Switch 2 only in mind.
Okay, yeah, but that's not entirely unheard of. I mean,
No.
that's why they would do those tech demos that would be technically the first game that would come out on a
Yeah.
console, because they knew the first year of games coming out for it probably started on the last console.
Right, but I mean, like, at no point was someone. Interestingly, this did happen with Onimusha. They were making a PS1 version, and then they bumped it to PS2. But like, say Tekken Tag Tournament, like the original one, right?
Yeah.
Like, even though there was an arcade version that technically ran on the PSX hardware, um, no point were they trying to make Tekken Tag on PS1, and then they're like, we're having issues with memory, we should just bump it to 2. Yeah, we should bump it to 2. No, they were just like, here's the PS2 dev kit. Okay. And Harada's talked about this on his Twitter about like all the sleepless, like insane, probably illegal crunch that went into making, Tekken Tag Tournament 1 launch on PS2. And it looking as good as it did. So
It was all worth it.
I mean, you would look at it and you immediately go, okay, well, that is light years beyond anything my PS1 could do, right? So there was a sort of like impressive, like, wow, look at that. You don't really get that with Mario Kart World. Mario Kart 8 still looks good. Like 8 Deluxe still looks pretty good. So when you see World, you're like, oh, okay, it's open world now, but it doesn't look like
Yeah, I think the leap
light
isn't
years
graphical for
beyond
them.
8, just
It's
better.
the scope and size and stuff is
Mhm.
the leap that they went for.
But Donkey Kong's impressive when you realize how you can dig through everything. But on a surface glance, looking at that and Mario Odyssey side by side, with which both have very big environments to run around in, you might be fooled into thinking like, well, this isn't a huge upgrade over Mario Odyssey. It is when you realize it's all voxels, and you see them, and you see Donkey Kong start digging through everything. Then you realize, oh my god, yeah, Switch
You can
did everything.
literally dig through everything.
Just about.
Like if you're just walking around and you're like, I wonder what's under here or wonder what's through there, you can just
Yeah.
hell yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can
That's
dig
cool.
through just about everything in that game. There's some limitations, so you don't just like dig yourself a hole and fall off a cliff kind of thing. They
Oh
usually put
right,
like a
you'll find like a rock bottom.
yeah, you'll find like a rock bottom usually. And there's like something like, okay, well, just so you don't dig yourself into like an unwinnable situation. But
You should let them. The kids gotta
it's
learn.
extremely impressive though in that aspect. So at least you still have that sort of like, okay, well, yeah, you definitely couldn't do this on Switch One in that aspect of it. But yeah, it's we're just in a weird time where like, yeah, I don't think Gen Zers are really seeing. And the other thing too, beyond just hey, there's not like this big arms race anymore. There's not like this need to graphically outshine the competition at every turn that we did have 25 years ago, really.
Well, the field has narrowed, so
Yeah, but here's the other thing I think too. I think Gen Z doesn't care. I think they don't care about graphics that much
oh,
because
see, I
they're
think they do care about graphics. It's just
maybe
that
aesthetics,
everything.
but like we as old men cannot sit here and be like, you got to have good graphics when Minecraft and Roblox are making some of the most money in all of video gamedom.
Aren't those both? I mean, I know that Gen Z plays Minecraft a lot, but like Roblox and Minecraft have to be a sizable portion of them have to be Gen Alpha kids. Like
Well,
we're
yeah,
not
but
talking about
Minecraft's actually
20-year-olds
been. But think about it, though.
necessarily.
Minecraft's been around forever
Oh yeah,
and
but I
been
mean, like
making money forever.
they might have. Well, I don't know. I guess I don't know if Gen Z is still playing Minecraft hugely or if it's moved on to
I
Gen
think the
Alpha.
movie proved. I guess they definitely still
Well, they
are.
have nostalgia for it,
Yeah.
definitely.
So like I don't think
I'm 36 years old. I'll go see a
I
Pokemon
just
movie if it
don't
looks
think
good.
that insane graphics are as because when that report came out that like half of PSN users to this day are still playing on logging in from PS4s, it's like
Yeah, it doesn't bode well for the PS5 or the PS6 that they're now working on.
I mean the thing is here's the crazy thing is that they've sold 80 million PS5s now. They're up to 80 million. And I'm like, oh, what are people playing on this thing?
Yeah, but wait a second. If half of logins to PSN are still PS4, does that mean that there's 160 PSN users? 160 million, I mean?
No,
Or
there's
does that mean like some people are choosing to log in on their PS4 instead of their PS5?
right. Well, I think a lot of it is just when they talk about PSN, I don't know. I really don't know if you need this. Like for certain games like Fortnite that are free to play, I don't know that they require a subscription service.
No,
I know that was a point of contention for a while, and I think Microsoft acquiesced on it, where they're like, "All right, you can just log into Fortnite if you want." I actually don't know. So part of me wonders if it just comes from that, where people are just like, "I'm just jumping into Fortnite," or something, or Roblox without actually having to have a PSN account.
you're correct. You do not need a PSN subscription to play Fortnite on PlayStation.
They're
They
just,
allow free to play games to be played online without PS Plus.
yeah. So
That is shocking. You shouldn't have to play for or you shouldn't have to pay for online play
exactly,
anyway.
you shouldn't need to anyway. It's a free
But
to play game. So
it's a
yeah,
different debate.
because there's not 150 million PSN subscribers out there.
I mean,
You know,
that would be incredible because then Sony would be they would have Microsoft money.
yeah, they probably might. Oh my God, there was a complete tangent. But Sean Layden in another interview where someone brought up Game Pass, and he was shitting on Game Pass again, and he was talking about how Game Pass makes developers wage slaves. They
Gives
have
them
no,
stability and makes
yeah,
them less creative.
yeah, less creative. And I'm just kind of like, I wonder how Sony Liverpool and the developers of Concord and all the people laid off from like Insomniac, I wonder how they feel, how secure they feel working for Sony. We're not under the burden of Game Pass,
Please,
so,
sir, a little bit of wage slavery, please, sir.
like like I don't personally thinking like Sean said some things that I kind of agree with in the past, but like this one is kind of like you okay, pull the foot out of your mouth here, buddy, because you should not be even trying to make this statement when you were really high up, within PlayStation ranks at one point, and PlayStation has shut down many studios as well and laid off many, many hundreds and if not thousands of people in the PlayStation branding. So it's kind of like I don't know that how different they feel, because again, you're not and he's not a developer. So I would not make words for a developer how a developer feels. If you're Obsidian and you're making Outer Worlds 2, do you feel like a wage slave because your game's going to be on Game Pass? Do you feel any different working there, or if you feel any different if you say worked on Bungie and you're working on Marathon right now? Oh well, I'm not on Game Pass, so I'm not a wage slave. I have artistic freedom and liberty here. Like what? I don't think
No,
my
no one
personal
tells me
feeling.
no here.
My personal feeling is I don't think it makes one bit of difference. At the end of the day, people want to make games and they want to have a job. When the game releases, when the game
Well,
ships, they want to be able to retain their job. I think that's pretty much just what all anyone wants to do. And what form they distribute that game, irrelevant to the person making the game. They just want it to get out there and they want to be able to go back to work,
as
the
we
next day.
both know, my closest friend in the world was super happy to just make Forza every year.
And they're
My
gone
blood
too
brother was
now. And
just
now,
now they're gone. Yeah,
and
he was just super happy. I made that joke to his
God.
face where I was just
God,
like, "Oh, all you make
turn
is Forza,"
10.
and he was just like, "Yeah, I have a job every year. It's pretty fucking great."
It was.
Well, it was until now, but that was like 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago.
Yeah. I
So
think it
it's
was called
like
Turn 10 Studios. Well, Turn 10 and that
we get
statement
rid of you,
aged. Microsoft is like
Leo.
they're like they like put people out on the iceberg or on like the ice shelf and like drift them out into the sea. You're too old. Get out of here.
Oh yeah, guys, it's your 10th birthday. That's so great. Goodbye.
I mean, you usually don't give people that much courtesy, anyways.
Take him out back and old yeller him.
All right, God. So
Pennzoil
yeah, what
Studio.
to me, I'm like, what a dumb statement, because I don't think anyone, I don't think anyone working in the North Americas or the European continents probably feel any different whether their game is on Game Pass or under Sony PlayStation Studios. Like,
As a weird aside, now that we're 500 episodes in, I don't know that it might have been 100 episodes since we've ever told the Forza story. And I'm just gonna tell it since we spent enough time on that joke. We were at an E3, and I don't remember if you dared me to say it or if I just did it.
No, you just told me you said it.
Yeah, I just did it. I got up to try Forza, and I got to interview the guy there, and in a little bit of a snarky dickhead moment, I was just like, "So what's it feel like to make the same game every year?" And he killed me with kindness and just like very genuinely was like, "It's great. I love cars. I love making games, and I always have a job." And so I have looked like a dick for a decade. A decade that man has made me look like a dick. And so that is the background for everyone who's only been here for like 100 episodes and doesn't
And what a
necessarily know that.
screw job, because Forza was consistently one of their best. Forza Motorsport, not Horizon. Motorsport was one of their most consistently best-selling franchises for literal decades, like at least 2 decades.
And
maybe.
it was always their tech demo.
And then one year, they have one bad year where they try to reboot Forza Motorsport.
Yeah.
They take away the title, they just call it Forza Motorsport. Like, that's not confusing. One bad year, and that studio's gutted.
Yeah.
They kill 50% of its staff, put the rest on support for Playground Games, who makes the Horizon games and are making Fable. Obviously, they gutted them, put them on support role only, so that they could fire the next 50% next year when they need to save a little more money for their next financial in the coming year, where they need to find some few more $1 million to save. You heard it here first. If I was still working at Turn 10, I would be doing everything in my power to get out of there while I still was collecting a paycheck, because it's obvious what Microsoft is doing. I'm sorry. You prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, Satya. Prove me wrong. You are keeping them around so you can skim more money off the top in a year. Like, you know, you are. Like, it's Jesus. It's like,
I mean, Phil Spencer has burned every bit of his like good guy cred that he had. So I won't be surprised if he's the one who just takes them out back and shoots them all. You know,
I mean,
Just
if
be
he's
him.
even still there, because not that I think Phil's going to get fired. I think Phil will probably just let go because he's probably going to be tired of being a heel.
You know what? That's an interesting question. Where does Phil go? EA, right?
Probably EA, yeah.
How great would it be if Phil goes to EA and he's single-handedly responsible for like revitalizing EA from the pit of
I mean, Andrew
irrelevance.
Wilson has always looked like a Bond villain. Phil kind of looks like he could pass for a Bond villain too. So
He could, but I actually still believe that Phil wants to do something that gamers will love. Like I think he actually does
yeah,
want to think of the customer instead of the investor for once. And
personally,
so
I think the best thing Phil could have done actually was years ago quit. Honestly, like he could have just probably the best thing Phil could have done was like 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, just straight up quit.
well, he should have quit after that last really amazing Xbox showcase where everyone was super hype. You know, they
Yeah.
show Doom Eternal and you know like
I
South of
probably
Midnight and all
would
that.
have quit because I don't know, because sometimes the people are here. People have said that they've actually heard about their like, oh, we're shutting down the studio the day of.
Yeah.
Like, if I was Phil and I had just released Hi-Fi Rush, and then someone and I just made statements about how like, oh, we're definitely not going to shut down Arcane, you know, because then they're like, shut them down, shut them all down. I probably would have been like, you know what, I quit. I would have quit in solidarity with them, honestly, and just been like, you know what, no,
Well,
no, I'm not gonna.
that's why you're never going
I'm
to be
not
an
gonna. I'm not gonna
executive.
work for a company that makes me like a giant hypocrite and a liar. And I'm not gonna work for a company where I believe in the product and the games they're making, and then their reward for creating a critically acclaimed darling in Hi-Fi Rush is to fire them all. Yeah.
Am I being paid millions of dollars? Hmm.
Well, here's the conundrum, and this is why people deservedly hate rich people. Because Phil, that motherfucker, had more money than he could spend in his lifetime, most likely, by the time they decided to let Tango go. The amount of money he probably personally had, let alone the cred he could use to get into any other big paying job within the game industry. He had wealth. Phil was not in any danger of going hungry and eating ramen, out of out of a 10 cent, dollar store bag for the rest of his life if he decided to quit 2-3 years ago. So I can't feel
Well,
bad for him. It's like, well, why should he have to lose his job? I mean, frankly, again, if he wanted to look good, if he wanted to be a good guy here, he would have quit because he's made gobs of cash at this point. Same
yeah.
with that other weasel fuck within Microsoft Booty who oversaw the dissolution of Midway. Like,
For the
I'm
record,
burning bridges here,
I do not
but
hate rich people. I do not
but I
have
can't. Well, yeah, but
I have
I'm
no
not going to say
visceral feelings about the
I'm
rich
not going
people.
to feel sorry for this guy if it was like, you know what, I quit because like Reggie quit. What did Reggie do? He bounced around a bunch of stock options and he's basically just enjoying retirement at like 55.
Yeah, but Reggie
So,
didn't quit. He retired. That's
I,
different.
I mean, I would have retired if I was Phil.
Yeah, but like you're saying you want Phil to like stand up and be like, well, this is bullshit. I quit and walk out. That's different than Reggie, who was just kind of like, well, I'm ready to retire.
Well, think of
Thanks,
it this.
guy. Shook a lot of hands on
Think
it.
of it this way, though. Think of it this way. Why did Reggie retire so early? It's not like the Switch was doing poorly or anything when he
He had
did.
plenty of money.
He had
Wanted to go
plenty of
out on
money.
a high note.
Maybe Reggie saw something we haven't quite seen yet, which is
Nintendo's
maybe.
on the Epstein list.
Oh.
It's my bad.
No, but
I'm
I'm just
sorry,
saying, like,
Nintendo.
this is what happened to Ken Lobb. Like, Ken Lobb left Nintendo when they sold Rare off because Ken Lobb was like, I don't want to work for Nintendo. He said he literally talked about this when he said, like, I saw what their portfolio was. I saw their 10-year plan, and I was like, this is going to be a hard sell. He was talking about the GameCube. Like, he saw the full life cycle dev plans for the GameCube software library, and he's like, I don't know how I'm going to sell this. I'm leaving, and he left Nintendo and went to work at Microsoft and just kept his communications with Rare, which I thought was kind of utterly fascinating. And when Reggie quit, I always kind of remembered that statement from Ken Lobb about where he's like, I saw what they were doing, for the next few years. And I was like, ugh, I don't know about this. Like, I don't know how I'm going to sell this necessarily. Now, if you're Phil, if you're Phil and you look at when Hi-Fi Rush, or sorry, when Tango was shut down, there was still a giant plate of games that Xbox had in development, like big fancy projects, ones that Phil even himself apparently really, really liked. Like there was like a spy game, multiplayer game, like a cyberpunk spy game that he really liked, and that got canceled recently this year, like in the last month or whatever, from Bethesda Online. He was so. I understand where Phil might have been like, well, we still got a lot of great games coming out. Let's just get them out. But at this point, when the game you personally love playing, it's not announced, when Perfect Dark is gone, and Contraband's gone now too, and a bunch of other stuff, at some point it's just got to become like, I don't know what I'm doing here anymore.
Making money.
I mean, yeah, he's just making money, which is, again, doesn't make Phil look like a good guy anymore, when it's just kind of like, so you're just kind of sitting around waiting to fire people. Like, that's your job. Like, wait 2-3 months, fire a whole bunch of people, just duck everyone, just duck everyone online, just kind of like wait for it to like blow over, people to forget, wait for the next thing to be talked about, then fire the next wave of a few hundred people. And it's like, what a great job that is.
How old is Phil? How old is Phil?
50 something, I think.
Is he really? He's that old?
So. He's no spring chicken, I'll tell you that.
57 years old.
87.
Looking good for 57, Phil.
But again, all of this circling back to like, why do Zoomers not buy new video games? And it's like, because they're expensive, they have no money and shit. How like you get excited for something and it gets canceled anyways?
This motherfucker, he's been at Microsoft since 1988.
Could have walked away with a gob of money, Andrew.
He's been there since he was 20.
He could have walked away with a ton of money.
What is he doing?
When he saw things going south, he could have walked away. He could have been good guy Phil forever and just say, I don't agree with the direction Microsoft is going, and quit or retired. He could have done it.
Don't speak out against Daddy.
He could have done it. He didn't even have to speak out. He could have just quietly retired and done what Reggie did, which is, or what Ken Lobb even did, where it was like, oh, they're retired. That's weird.
Who do you have gone to? Who do you have left Microsoft to go to? They bought everyone.
Well, I know. Well, like EA is kind of like the prime one, but
just
I mean, shit. Phil could have taken. I mean, he wouldn't get paid as much, but he could have gone to something like, "Hey, I'm going to go head up the American branch of Sega or something, and try to make like Sega's games, be more of a thing, and keep his connections with Microsoft when he has to talk to them or something." There are a lot of things Phil could have done.
I believe in Sega. I think Sega's going to have a real shake-up comeback.
I think Sega's doing good. I really hope their revival, I don't know what you call it, the old IP, bring back old games initiative pans out. Shinobi's looking really, really, really good.
Yes, it is.
I hope the rest of them are really, really, really good, because that's the Sega we want to see. Like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Yakuza, and Sonic, it still makes money, I guess, and all the other kids love Persona, but like, man, I would love to see Sega come back with all they have so many good IPs,
It's not realistic, but I would love Sega to just pull a shocker, get back into the hardware game. Ooh.
I don't know. To me, I'm like, I don't know what the incentive is at that point. Because as we said, like, what's the incentive? Everyone's making the same off the shelf crap anyways.
Yeah, I think that we both called probably a couple years early that everyone was going to be moving away from exclusives.
Yeah.
And I think this is a pendulum. I think
there
this is
was
a pendulum.
One of those VPs of Sony in Japan was recently basically practically saying out loud that, yeah, we're going to have more PlayStation games everywhere.
Yeah. They're all looking at it that way. But I think it's a pendulum, right? I think it's going to swing back towards exclusivity over time. could be a decade, but I think it is going to swing back towards exclusivity.
I think that's going to depend on affordability, though, because here's again, we're talking
Well,
about
that's the reason I think it's going to swing back to
Zoomers
exclusivity.
can't afford anything. They're mostly playing Fortnite and Minecraft and Roblox and what have you, and I don't blame them.
Well, yes, but also the affordability means that things being siloed means people will have to choose who they want to go with again. So again,
Yeah.
affordability, the worse affordability gets, it actually then starts to become favorable to walled gardens again.
Kind of,
Getting
but
you
then
in an ecosystem, making you more likely to buy our games.
Here's why that doesn't work, though. The cost of those games.
That's
Because
true.
now the games cost so much that to get the money back for it, they have to put it everywhere. That's kind of the real monkey wrench of this industry right now.
I mean, that's the problem of every industry right now, especially entertainment industries, though. They're all spending record amounts of money fighting for record amounts of money. Like the film industry is the same way. It's why everything's just like they have one blockbuster coming out this year.
Yeah. Well, that kind of reminds me of something I heard. I'm getting blasted with this since returning from Evo of all the Vegas is dead videos. And one of the things that whatever the bloggers, the people who live in Vegas and talk about it, they keep saying is that Vegas has become super corporate and they don't care about the customer. They're not interested in the customer. They're a completely shareholder-driven economy at this point.
Right.
So the user experience or the customer experience in Vegas means nothing to the people running these casinos and resorts anymore. Now it's all corporate interest driven, which means it's all shareholder driven, which Alana Pierce talked about this in a video, and it's 100% true no matter how you feel about her, is that video games are not fan driven. They don't care. None of these people particularly, some do, but for the most part, most game publishers don't particularly care what the fan response or reaction to any given product is. And they don't care how much you're nickeled and dimed or how much you're not nickeled and dimed. All video game publishers care about is that shareholder. They are here for shareholder interests, not customer sales interest.
Do you think that that's one interesting way to look at the change in video game trailers over the last 10 years? Is you can see more and more of them start to fall into the exact same style. And it's clearly a style to make them look bigger and more amazing to a class of people who probably doesn't play games, but definitely invests in game companies.
What does a big trailer buzz do? It actually causes stock prices to jump.
Yeah.
Announcements will cause, because we live in a really pump, like you, and you can attest to this way more than me. We live in a super pump and dump world now for a stock market where people don't even pay attention or care. Everything's about like buy on the crash, buy on the dip, and then sell when it starts getting good. The pump and dump. Like we live in super pump and dump land now. So stock prices usually shoot up when a game gets announced. Like this happens, and you see it with even like Nintendo and Capcom. Like you'll see their stock prices jump up on announcements and drop if they have a Nintendo Direct. There's been moments where Nintendo's stock prices like drop drastically for a day or for a few hours when they do a Nintendo Direct. They don't announce anything anyone's expecting, and then everyone's just like sell. Yeah. And it's like insane to watch because I'm like, really, you're selling because they didn't announce like a Pokemon game or something, but. Hence the dumb world we live in now. So yeah, kind of just all going back to that. Like I can see why, again, because games aren't even really being made for us by and large anymore. They're being made for shareholders. They're being made like, how can I squeeze the absolute maximum amount of profit out of this thing to get it better year over year? That's all that matters anymore.
I mean, I do think sales obviously still very much matter, but I think where the shareholder is butting in and where it's a real problem is in the decision-making phase, the creative decision-making phase, or choosing what games they're making. I mean, Concord got made because shareholders were involved in that decision.
Yeah.
Or at least that's who they were thinking of when they made that decision.
Absolutely.
They weren't looking at the market for, like, they weren't looking at what gamers want, because everyone, by the time they announced Concord, everyone knew that style of game was sort of over the hill. Like at least in terms of players.
Yeah.
Like hero shooters were just
I
gone for a
mean,
bit.
Rivals did take off, but again, major IP, everyone got a big ass free to play, completely free to play. Every character free to play.
Yeah, well, I would argue that the free to play and the fact that it's hyper recognizable Marvel characters,
Hyper recognizable, big asses free to play.
the big asses probably matter, but I would say the big asses probably matter for staying power more than they matter for trying it out.
Well, for sure. Well, both really, because they had big asses from day one. Did you know, Andrew, the day after Evo, in other words, the day of day after, Capcom introduced that swimsuit pack to Street Fighter 6.
Oh yeah,
It was the second highest revenue earning game on Steam that day.
that's not surprising.
Like, I forget whatever like the top earning game is, the thing that earns the most money always. It got to literally, it is the second highest earning, like the most cash on all of Steam worldwide. Second place went to Street Fighter 6
You beautiful horny bastards.
because of these goddamn swimsuits. Like,
I'm not mad at it. I'm not.
and they're not cheap. They're really not cheap at all.
Well,
Which is
given the
probably why
amount of
it's high.
detail in that game, yeah, I bet they're not.
So
Let's just say there's probably a whole lot of idle animations being watched in training mode.
yeah, I mean, other FGC people were saying like, "Oh my god, I cannot find a match that isn't one of these 6 swimsuit characters in their swimsuit."
Well, I mean, it's a great time to practice with a lower tier character.
I mean, not all of them are low tier, but yeah, it's just this is, if anything, this. What are people spending their money on? Swimsuits, digital swimsuits.
Sex sells, man.
It doesn't free to play. Well, I can't even say that anymore because Street
Everybody's
Fighter
horny.
6 is a full price game, and here we are.
Everybody's horny, and it's only getting worse. People don't go out to bars and don't talk to people anymore, and the people who do are actively punished
as the birth rate plummets worldwide.
As the birth rate plummets. Look, I might have been on the tail end of anybody going out to meet people in person. You know, now it's like I was talking to a person who like is like a fellow. They're like a student who works at the museum, like that kind of thing. And so they're like 23, 24. And like they were just talking about how bad apps were. And I was kind of like, well, do people, and this is the oldest I've ever felt, but I was like, well, do people not just like talk to you at a bar? Like you go to a bar and like somebody comes up and approaches you. And like she was mortified at the idea, like a stranger just comes up and talks to me. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's how I met my wife. Like, all right, I guess, you know, this fucking alien over here.
Come on, like, don't listen to Sam Smith over there dancing with the stranger.
It's just like people don't do that anymore. And so, you know, and like dating over an app or online dating has always been a mess, but it is especially a mess now. Like, genuinely, if you're single out there, my heart goes out to you because right now is just.
Frankly, you know what I think? Here's old man. Maybe I'm speaking. You know what I think we need? You know, younger generations need to go out and meet people. Shut up.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, the generations that had lots of prostitutes.
Look,
better talking to the opposite.
I'm all. Hey, full disclosure, I fully support that being legalized as long as the person offering the service is the only person in charge of their finances. Period. End of story.
Well, you don't like talent agencies?
Pimps? No. So one thing I think would really help, honestly, we should have more cons, more conventions, like more meeting places. Because arcades are dead and we can't get them to come back. And barcades are like a band-aid on an open wound because, as you know, young people don't drink anywhere near as much as previous generations. It's
Give them time.
expensive.
Things are just getting bad.
It's expensive. They don't really like it. They don't really like the taste. Meeting places, more things like PAX to me are only a good thing. Now the problem is obviously the expense, because the expense of everything. But like, I would try to organize more pop-up shops, more cafes. I've been saying this forever. Like more like gamer cafes like they have in Japan. More small events, small
But yeah, it's working
conventions.
wonders in Japan.
Well, um, but you know what it does? It brings people together and it brings in money.
No,
Now,
that's fair. I'm just saying it's not helping. It's not helping the dating scene there.
I mean, go to Japan, Andrew, and those people don't talk to each other without apps. So,
Yeah, they're
like,
not
you are
having a great
talking,
time.
you're talking. I mean, if we really want to get into this, like culturally speaking, they don't. They are the most. You will never be in a quieter big city than you will be in Tokyo. So
It sounds
people just
amazing.
people just don't talk to each other. I mean, it's great, but like, I don't
Conversely,
think.
go to Paris and you'll never be anywhere louder. No, Bangkok's louder than Paris.
I was gonna say.
There are a lot of people talking in Paris, though. Just like you, oddly, it's a loud city is Sacramento.
Yeah, I believe it. I've been there once.
Everyone listens to music on speakerphone or speakers or with the windows down, like blasting it. Like
Yeah.
you'll just see somebody walking down the street, and this is common. This isn't even this isn't just one weird person I saw. This is like fucking everybody would just like walk with their phone blasting music and holding it up like this and walking down the road.
They don't want that ear damage from headphones.
What are you doing? It's the weirdest place I've ever been. Sacramento. Weirder than Fresno, even.
Accomplishment.
Not as much
But yeah,
math.
I mean, I think whether people know it or not, I think people crave doing things, having fun things going on, or whatever. It's why there's such a big vlogging industry for theme parks. It's why theme parks themselves are still doing well despite the insane prices. Like,
yeah,
people like whether they know it
they
or
like
not. Like,
experiences. Yeah.
yes, like, you might be mortified at someone, but you're asking a young adult to like go to a bar, and then you're in a bar atmosphere, and someone they don't know is going to come and talk to them. Yeah, that's a little. I can see why that's a little like, I don't know. But let's say that person, let's say whatever game they're into, let's say they're into, I don't know, Overwatch, whatever, right? And they go to an Overwatch cafe, or they go to an Overwatch mixer, and then someone there comes up and talks to them because they're at an Overwatch mixer. And now, granted, there's a lot of logistical issues here. I'm aware of the Red Bull after parties at Evo, but I'm just saying that people, I think people want this whether they even know it or not, because you have people go to PAX for the first time and they have an amazing experience. People go to Evo for the first time. They talk about how they have such an amazing experience for the first time. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's what people are missing. I think they're missing honest to God human interaction.
Yeah, places where like-minded individual. Well, yeah, you
And
leave school and you don't have necessarily
you have
places
nowhere
to
to
go where
go.
everyone's.
Like, what are we going to all do? Congregate at the Target? Like, come on.
Well, yeah,
So
Target's great.
to me, I'm like, I
I
think, the other advantage to having people meeting up is word of mouth. Because you have word of mouth right now via text, via Discord, via whatever, right? But imagine going to PAX and just discovering a game you didn't know about, or someone you see a small crowd of people gathering around some indie booth or whatever. Like, what's this? Like, wow, that looks really great. And you see some crazy multiplayer game, you discover it, and it's like, oh, amazing. So, I beyond price, because we've kind of beyond just price. I think, I think people in general, it goes hand in hand. People aren't as social as they used to be, and they're less willing to try out new games and experiences because they don't have constant communication with other people either. So you're not hearing this sort of like just marketplace of ideas or whatever, happening and stuff. So I think that's also another thing that's sort of like damaging to the game industry, is that
mean, you could do it
people,
real quick. Just ban social media. Just get rid of social media, and people start finding places to hang out.
I don't think it's a bad thing, but yeah, like people become insular, not only socially, but they're becoming insular with their game interests too. Right? Like,
if I was a
I'm
digital
in the Fortnite ecosystem. Why should I leave the Fortnite ecosystem? Granted, why should you leave the Fortnite ecosystem? But like, they become insular and they don't even know about other games even coming out. because all they do is play Fortnite. All they see is whatever's on the Fortnite store.
And if you're happy, you just keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
You just
But
do
I'm just
it.
saying that like there's a lot it's a multifaceted problem, and I think there's a lot of issues and a lot of different ways that you go about this. But I mean, like, how do you get me? I mean, the question of like, how do we get younger generation to play more video games? I'm like, one, drop the price for God's sake.
Yeah,
Like,
well, that's it. There's no budget game anymore. It's like once in a blue moon you'll get a budget game.
yeah, well, indie games come out fairly priced, but not.
In 2010, there was a whole budget bin. You could just like you could get greatest hits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like I haven't seen a greatest hits bin in years.
Yeah,
Maybe they're
because
still
well, I
around. I
mean,
just haven't seen them. But
because assholes like Nintendo think, well, we devalue our product if we ever lower the price. Oh, fuck you. Like,
yeah,
a 15-year-old game doesn't need to cost 60 goddamn dollars, you greedy prick.
well, that's
You
another
made
thing.
your
Is like
money.
I think having physical games again would make a difference because this is a weird side effect, and maybe this is entirely in my head, but I do think there's a collector's aspect when you buy a physical game, even if it's not worth collecting. Like there's still this, it ticks that same.
Yeah,
You have a
and physical's
collection in front of
dying
you.
really fast. Nintendo's trying to kill it right now, really hard with key cards. Luckily, they've actually gotten a lot of blowback for the key cards because deservedly so. Because fuck them, but like,
Well, the whole industry's trying to kill it because they don't want the overhead.
You're gonna buy a piece of plastic that has a single line of code to connect you to a shop that you have to go online and download from. Like, no, of course people don't like it. Like, it's so weird. I don't even know if you're aware of this, but there's been a couple games where there's a Switch 1 version and a Switch 2 version, right? The Switch 1 version will have the whole game on a cartridge. The Switch 2 version is just a key card. It's just a code that you still need to connect to the internet. So the Switch 2 physical version doesn't exist. You still have to download it from the internet, but the full version of the game is on the Switch 1 version.
Sick.
And it's like, gee, I wonder why people aren't happy about key cards. And it's like,
well, I love I think I saw it on like Twitter or something, but like someone being like the reason why Sega Saturn is the best console of all time, and it's just like these comparison jokes, and then it gets down to like PS5, and it's just them putting in their Sega Saturn game, and then PS5 they just don't have a disc, and it's them just like slamming a disc against the discless PS5, and that's the only thing, the mark against the PS. They're just like, oh, this is why Sega Saturn's better. It's just them putting in a game.
It has a full real game. But yeah, like collectors, like you said, collectors are really unhappy with this. I don't know. I feel like young people, and especially, I don't think they care about physical retail anywhere near as much as we do. Unfortunately,
no, I don't think like it's sort of like with movies where like I've talked to friends who were 25, 26, and I'm like, yeah, I smuggled home. I went and visited my parents, and I finally brought like a whole bunch of my movie collection, like a quarter of my movie collection home. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like DVDs. And they know what DVDs are. It's not like they don't know what they are, but like the idea that it's like, well, don't you have streaming? Well, yeah. But like sometimes you can't find the movie on streaming.
Yeah, the movie goes off
just
streaming
rent it.
randomly.
And it's like, right, but I own it. So why would I rent it? And it's this disconnect of like, they don't view content necessarily as like, they view it as content, not as something to own or collect or have.
Yeah.
And that's
and you know what,
that's a sad thing because a movie collection is beautiful.
It is. And you know what, this movie collection especially and gaming is going to follow suit if it hasn't already. You know what this is going to do even for the young ones? You know what it's going to bring back the golden age of piracy is all this is doing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, let's be frank here. Like, they want to move into an all digital future where like there isn't even a physical version of a game doesn't even exist. It's only sold digitally, but I'm going to keep charging you $60 for it, even if it's been like a decade. And then it's like, I don't care about the game that much.
Well, it's shrinkflation, but gaming. It's the gaming twist on shrinkflation.
Right. Yeah.
Where they charge the same amount, but they get rid of things that you used to have on it. You know, with Hostess cupcakes, it's a little less cream filling, or the cake is a little bit smaller, but it's the same price it always was.
It's funny to me how small Valve as a company employee count is.
Isn't it like 20 people?
300. It's like it's been 300 people, the entirety of Valve Corporation that
Well,
runs
a lot
all of
bigger than I
Steam.
ever thought.
Are you serious? Like all of Steam is run by like 100 people.
Amazing.
It's been that way for years because, well, one, they're a private company. But also,
why would you ever open it up?
Yeah, exactly. They're a private company. They can do what they want. Gabe has like 7 yachts.
He just joined a team to help design yachts.
I know.
It's his passion project.
Fucking rich fuck. But they're a private company, so they don't have to do anything. Nobody's forcing them to do anything shareholder wise. But also, what does Steam do? Steam is hyper convenient, and shit goes on sale all the goddamn time.
Which is Steam is single-handedly responsible for piracy dying.
Yeah.
Because
and I'm saying, how did it kill piracy, or how did it curb piracy to a certain level? It was convenient, it was easy, and shit was cheap. Shit went on sale. Shit goes on sale all the goddamn.
Yeah.
Like you look at like Repo and Peak, and these games are $5, and they're making all the money in the world for their tiny ass dev teams, and it's like.
And that's why it's okay that Gabe has 7 yachts.
I don't think it's okay for anyone to have 7 yachts. You don't fucking need that many yachts. Like, Jesus Christ. At least he's donated a bunch of them to marine research, so I can't feel too bad about it. But like,
look, if I was stupid rich, yachting would be one thing that I'd get into. Except I'd want to sail. Like I'd do a racing yacht.
7 of them, man.
Well, yeah,
7.
you gotta have a racing yacht. You gotta have a yacht for your bitches. You gotta have a yacht for your different boys.
So fucking stupid. It's so fucking stupid to have that many.
In the scheme of things, like Bezos has like that Uber yacht that's like what?
Right? Oh my God, his Lex Luthor yacht.
Blah blah blah. It's just like Gabe over here is supporting single-handedly the yachting industry, and Bezos is building a fortress to be on the ocean so he can be away from his detractors and/or assassins. So I don't know. I'm on Team Gabe. Again, I'm okay.
You don't need that many yachts. Period.
I don't give a fuck what he needs. He has the money and he wants to buy yachts. Let him buy yachts.
It's just it just gets into that irresponsible.
Is he on the Epstein list? No, then fuck him. Let him have his yachts.
Well, we knew it was. Bobby was.
Which Bobby?
Kotick. Allegedly.
Allegedly? He was
about as allegedly as Trump, but
allegedly fuck that guy. So.
Well, you didn't know? He was in Epstein's black book.
Well,
the photo's still out there. I've said this on the podcast multiple times.
Sweet Bobby.
I mean, he's retired from the game industry now, but I'm like, yeah, the thing is, I'm like, oh, how do you even know it's his number? How do we know it's his number? I'm like, well, that area code was Santa Monica, so that almost definitely was Bobby's number. Allegedly. So.
For legal reasons, I'm going to say allegedly after everything we say about allegedly who we think is.
Again, yeah, allegedly, who knows? Maybe that's all bullshit, but I mean...
But my point is like, hey, dude buying yachts, get it, whatever.
Either way, my point is that
chicken businesses and
if
shit.
the industry wants to be concerned about young people's spending habits, make shit cheap and convenient. Like, it's not hard.
Yeah, give options. Options has always been something that attracts customers. Period.
Yeah,
I don't.
Convenience is key, and price is key too. It's like, oh, they're not spending much. Well, then stop charging as much. Like this goes for the Vegas hotels, especially for me, where I saw the outrageous prices of like water bottles and whatever there, and I was just kind of like, so what's their response? And they're like, well, they've just decided to jack the rates because nobody's there. I'm like, how does that make any sense business wise?
People aren't coming because the number of customers. They're concerned about the amount they can get out of each customer they do have.
Well, again, because they don't care about customers, they care about shareholders. That's all they care about. But to me, it's just kind of like, wow, like I'm constantly blown away at how stupidly run major businesses are. Where it's like, oh, people aren't coming to our resort because it's too expensive. What should we do? Raise the price. Genius.
I mean, often the businesses are built by smart people, and then
And then they
you know,
then they retire or leave or take the severance, and all right, I made my nut. I'm done.
just because they're executives doesn't necessarily mean that they're smarter than the average person. I don't know how to transition on that one. So on that note, we have patrons to thank. I guess eat the rich, and thank you so much to Dragon Wolf Makoto, Osnite, Cyberknight, Tsunami, Croy35, LCL Mayhem, and Ziggy Z. Thank you, dudes, and we will catch you next time.
Later, dudes.